Hello everyone, thank you for being here and welcome to lesson number 13 of A Course in Miracles. A meaningless world engenders fear. Today's idea is really another form of the preceding one, except that it is more specific as to the emotion aroused. Actually, a meaningless world is impossible. Nothing without meaning exists. However, it does not follow that you will not think you perceive something that has no meaning. On the contrary, you will be particularly likely to think you do perceive it. Recognition of meaninglessness arouses intense anxiety in all the separated ones. It represents a situation in which God and the ego challenge each other as to whose meaning is to be written in the empty space that meaninglessness provides. The ego rushes in frantically to establish its own ideas there, fearful that the void may otherwise be used to demonstrate its own impotence and unreality. And on this alone it is correct. It is essential, therefore, that you learn to recognize the meaningless and accept it without fear. If you are fearful, it is certain that you will endow the world with attributes that it does not possess, and crowd it with images that do not exist. To the ego, illusions are safety devices, as they must also be to you who equate yourself with the ego. The exercises for today, which should be done about 3 or 4 times for not more than a minute or so, at most, each time, are to be practiced in a somewhat different way from the preceding ones. With eyes closed, repeat today's idea to yourself. Then open your eyes and look about you slowly, saying, I am looking at a meaningless world. Repeat this statement to yourself as you look about. Then close your eyes and conclude with, a meaningless world engenders fear because I think I am in competition with God. You may find it difficult to avoid resistance in one form or another to this concluding statement. Whatever form such resistance may take, remind yourself that you are really afraid of such a thought because of the vengeance of the enemy. You are not expected to believe the statement at this point and will probably dismiss it as preposterous. Note carefully, however, any sign of overt or covert fear which it may arouse. This is our first attempt at stating an explicit cause and effect relationship of a kind which you are very inexperienced in recognizing. Do not dwell on the concluding statement, and try not to even think of it except during the practice periods. That will suffice at present. Okay, that's lesson number 13 of A Course in Miracles. A meaningless world engenders fear. Yes, and what this lesson would like us to do is to pay attention to how our apparent meaningless thoughts affect our emotions, which produces fear. And that's why I would like to expand on part 2 of this lesson, in which affirms that our meaningless thoughts arouse anxiety, appearing to, quote here, represent a situation in which God and the ego challenge each other as to whose meaning is to be written in the empty space that meaninglessness provides, end quote. And the reason why I would like to focus on this part is because this is the first time in the lessons that the words empty space is used. And I would like to expand on what is meant by empty space. So what empty space is this lesson referring to? It is referring to the nothingness of this present moment, the blank, clear, pristine, empty mind of the eternal self. So when the lesson reads that our fears and anxieties represent a situation in which God and the ego challenge each other as to whose meaning is to be written in the empty space, it is pointing to the illusion of the ego mind and its entourage of thoughts, judgments, and opinions that seem to veil the celestial one. Meaning that the ego mind, the illusory mind, veils the eternal mind of heaven with meaningless thoughts, causing upset and fear, and therefore fails to realize the omnipresence of the kingdom of heaven now. I hope you enjoy practicing lesson number 13. Please let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. See you tomorrow for lesson number 14. Have a wonderful day. Bye.